what's up everybody? Today I want to show you how to make that synth, which is from Ummet Ozcan and W&W's song The Code. I'm pretty sure most of you will know it. So actually, also, if you want to know how to make the kick, a distorted big room kick, I done a tutorial on that last week, so just go on my channel and look at it if you haven't already. So today we're going to be focusing on this sound. So it's not that hard to make. If you open up a new combinator, and then we're going to be using Maelstrom today. Make sure the patch is initialized, and then you're going to want to use Oscillator A, and you're going to want to look for Juno. If I can remember where it is. Juno. There we go. Okay, so Juno is the synth you want to use, and then you're going to want to turn the motion down to -14. Leave the index at 0, and then the shift you are going to want to push up to 4 slightly. And then for the ADSR, you're going to want a little bit of attack, so the synth doesn't start straight away when you hit the key. And then the decay you're going to want to bring down to 59. And 81 for the sustain. And then we're going to bring the release down to 0. And then enable it to go to the shaper. Turn on the shaper and then select sine. And yeah, just bring it down slightly to 56. This just kind of adds a bit of a tonal texture to it. I just listen to what it sounds like. Yep, a lot of work to be done. So next, if you move on to filter A, turn it right the way up, leave it on low pass, and then the resonance we're going to turn up slightly to 19, because we want a bit of that nice high sharp. So it sounds a little bit better, but still nothing like the synth. So now we're going to use modulator A. Make sure it's on sine wave, and turn the rate up slightly to 66. And this is going to be modulating the pitch and index and the shift of this oscillator. So we're going to change the pitch to 9, stop there. The index we're going to bring down to -6, and then we're going to push up the shift to 2. So basically this is automating these parameters for us. Still sounds nothing like it, but we're getting there. So that is actually it for the synth. The majority of this, where the sound comes from, is the next stage really, which is to go ahead and add 2 Scream 4 distortion units, and this is where it starts to sound a lot better. So I'll just close that. Oh, that's not what I wanted. So for the first one, change the algorithm to warp. The damage control bring down slightly to 54. And then param 1 bring up slightly to 68, and param 2 you are going to want to bring up to 95. And then we're going to use this body switch. If you change the type to B, and the resonance you're going to want bring down to 93. The scale you're going to want at 54, and yeah, bring the auto down, and then the master, I think we just leave the master where it is. So if we just check, that sounded a lot closer, and a lot of that tone is coming from this body switch. If I turn it off, you get a lot of the texture from that. Screen for distortion units is one of the best things about Regions, I think. And then, so for the second one, turn this back on, you're going to want to change the algorithm to tube. The damage you're going to want to, actually just leave the damage where it is, 62. Param 1 you're going to want to bring down to 48, and then we're going to turn this all the way up, Param 2. This time we're going to turn on the EQ. We're going to bring the low up to 29. The mid we're going to bring up to 38, and the high we're going to bring up to 21. And that's all we're going to do. So sounding quite close now if we just bypass this. So we had before the distortion units. So needs a bit of work with the EQs. There's some frequencies there that are sounding a bit iffy. So now create two M-class equalizers. You can EQ this a bit differently, it just depends, it's more personal taste, but it's quite important to get some of those nasty frequencies out there. So if you enable all four of the parameters here, for the low shelf, bring it down slightly to about 110, the gain up slightly to about 2.9, and we'll leave the Q where it is. Param 1, if you bring it all the way down to about 80, 85, that'll do. The gain you're going to want to bring up to about 4, so if we bring this down a bit. And the Q bring down to about 2.1. And then parameter 2, leave where it is and bring it down to about -6, and the Q bring up a little bit. And this is just cutting out some of this muddy frequency here. And then the high, we're just going to boost the highs. So if you go to, I don't know, about nearly 9 kilohertz, 8.800 will do. Just bring this up slightly to 3.4 decibels. Leave the Q where it is. And then the second EQ, we're just using Param 1 and Param 2. For Param 1, you bring it down to around, let me just check what I brought that down to. Yeah, it might, no wait, 169, okay. 169, and just bring it down to cut out some of this muddy frequencies down here, and leave the Q where it is. Param 2, you're going to want to turn all the way up and boost it quite a bit, say like 10 dB, and then we've cut out some of the muddy mids and low mids, and we've boosted the highs and a little bit of the low end there. And then we are going to create a compressor. So for the compressor, if you just pop the input gain up to about 2.2, the threshold bring right the way down to 36, the ratio bring down to about 2.04 over 1, and then the attack all the way up and the release all the way down, and leave the output gain where it is. And this is just beefing it up and giving it a sharper edge. Let's see if you just pump up the output gain a little bit. And last two things we're going to do is, one, we're going to create a digital delay line. We're going to use this, if you go down to 22 milliseconds, I'm going to use this as like a kind of stereo imager. If you bring the feedback all the way down and bring the pan all the way to either the right or left, and then this dry wet bring down to about, I don't know, 6 maybe. You hear how it really changes the stereo field. It's quite a good trick to expand your sounds. And then the final thing we are going to do is to add an RV7000. Make sure the patch is initialized, and you're going to want to use the Hall algorithm, but bring the size down to 14 meters. The diffusion, leave where it is, leave it at room 1. Leave the area reflections at 50%, 0. The pre-delay we're going to bring up slightly to 51, and we're going to bring this up to 100%. And then for these controls here, we're going to bring the delay, the decay, sorry, down to 50. The high frequency damp up to 63. 62 will do. And then minus 26 for the high EQ. And the dry wet we're going to bring down to about 42. And then we're going to enable the EQ. And all we're doing here is just cutting some of the lows. So now, the reverb really kind of ties the whole synth in together and makes it sound a lot smoother. There is one last thing I did actually, which was to add a has type 2 effect, which is essentially a small delay like the one we added to widen the sound, which you can get if you right click on the combinator and go to create effect in your factory sound bank. Go to all effect patches, then modulation, then spreader. Yeah, you've got has type 1, has type 2, a lot of other different combinators that do the same trick, but I really like this one. And then around with these settings here for whatever kind of width you want. And that's really it. I think the only other thing I did was I added a sidechain compression, and that's all it is really. So this synth is actually going to be part of my refill pack, but I felt like I'd give it to you guys early as a freebie. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next week.